Hey everyone. I am here to speak with Marnie Pearlstein. So let's see if we can get her on. Give me a second. Yeah, we're just waiting for Marnie, and she should be coming on. All right. Hey.
Hey, how
Hey.
are you?
Yeah, tired but good. How are
What
you?
a day. What a day.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
Oh, how are you guys feeling? Like,
We're okay. We actually a very generous friend. We didn't have a proper bomb shelter at home. We were in the staircase, and then when the ballistic and the cluster bombs started coming down, we went down to the shelter across the street. And you do that 3 or 4 times a night with kids, and during the day, it was so we came to the suburbs, 20 minutes out of Tel Aviv. And they have a proper bomb shelter here. Um, and we're very grateful for that because it's been pretty crazy.
how has it worked? Because I spoke to a friend, an Australian friend who's there at the moment, and she said she has had 8 hours sleep in the past week in total. So
Yeah,
how are you managing that with kids?
just get on with it, I mean, we don't spend too much time kind of just thinking and moaning, and just it is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's what we have done though is, and so that people know, you know my wife. We're actually friends offline, and you know our kids as well. We're very tough with them on discipline and screen time and stuff like that. But this week, this last 8 days, we just said, you know what, kids, whatever you want. You want to watch, you want to play, you want to be on, whatever you want. We're just letting it go.
And Israeli kids obviously are used to sirens and bomb shelters, but has this last 10 days been insane even for your kids by Israeli standards?
Yeah.
And how
Yeah.
are
No.
how are they dealing with it?
Well, just to, I mean, you guys have been watching the news, but just a little bit of context. When the alarms go, and we're used to the alarms all year, but in the last 10 days, the alarms, the sirens on your phone, they're a different shrill. It's more intense. We had less time to get to the shelters, and when you are in the shelters, when we were in Tel Aviv, the explosions would go off, and the building would shake, and you hear the, I mean, I've done, it's like of the Iron Dome launching, which is very close to our house, and it's scary. How do they deal with it? You know when there are the explosions, they're we're all worried. We're all scared in those situations, but we just hold them close and let them be, and just try and be as normal as possible.
And
But we're still in it.
is school,
It's
obviously, I know today like everything's shut down until the 30th, but has school been open? Have they still been going to
no,
school? No, nothing.
nothing for around, I know, was it 10 days now? Just the day before, I think it was on Thursday or Friday, and today they're doing Zooms, but they're not like lessons. They're just like to just see friends.
Right.
I think people are asking questions. I don't know. Maybe not.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. So we're just chatting.
Okay, we're chatting, but you can ask questions.
Yeah. People can ask
Um,
questions.
you can ask questions, guys. My friend said it's COVID with rockets.
Yeah. Except it's COVID with ballistic missiles. Rockets are different.
Okay.
But yeah,
Oh my
it
gosh.
it's weird. And then, of course, Trump overnight, and the
Yeah.
America coming in. We're processing that too. Today's missile attacks were pretty, significant. They did a lot of damage. So a lot of people are thinking, is it going to get worse now before it gets better? Is it going to get better? I mean, is it going to be a third world war? People are like minute by
Do you
minute.
have a sense there? Do people there have a sense of like what the retaliation could look like, or how long it could go on for, or if it's going to be a lot worse than what you've had in the last 8 days.
Well, I mean, no different than anywhere else. I mean, I think that all options are open. One is there's an immediate de-escalation because they understand. That's one option. Another option is that they don't and they retaliate in a big way against America's bases. Another way is they do it to us. Another way is that they do it together. I mean, and then there's the American response. Will it be devastating? And then you start thinking about, well, who are the allies of our enemies? Will they get involved? It's who the hell knows? But decisive action was taken. I'm just, my opinion is it's been 10 years too late. I've been saying this for a decade. Um, and, we're in the eye of the storm. And if I'm saying that, and I think it's the right thing to do, I think most of Israel knows that it's the right thing to do, you know?
Mm, mm. It's been interesting. Like it's Sunday in Australia. I've sat the whole day on the couch watching the news, watching like all different news. And it's so interesting to see how different news types want to spin it or want to report it. It's just been so fascinating.
I hate the news. I remember the days when you switch on the TV like 30 years ago, 35, 40 years ago. And you'd have like a few channels, and they just gave you the news. They didn't.
Yeah,
It wasn't an
no
opinion. It
commentary.
was like this is what
Yeah,
happened today. Uh, and in the last 2 years, one of the things that I've suffered from most is the news.
yeah.
Just like
I think they're
the best
so
news.
responsible for a lot of the shit that we're dealing with now.
Oh yeah, in Australia. I mean, the media is absolutely complicit, and just like when you mention like watching all these news channels, even the Israeli news channels, as the missiles are coming down, I feel like sometimes we're on Fox fucking News. It's like, can we just what's the word when they dramatize
Mm,
everything? It's dramatic enough, you
mm.
know. And
Yeah, but you
the
know
media
what?
pisses
You
me off.
guys, you're so cool. You guys are so cool, calm, and collected in Israel. It's much more dramatic when you're watching it from the other side of the world. You guys, there's a whole different mental construct that Israelis have in terms of not being dramatic and just taking it in your stride and just getting on with it.
I think
Like
yes.
no one else is like that.
Uh, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, look, we have our fair share of people who lose their shit, but overall, as a people, I think we really do go through, uh, 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 even when things are peaceful here, you still go into a supermarket, still go into a cinema or a shopping mall, uh, and you do a security check. You get on the train, you have to go through an X-ray detector, whatever it is. So we're very used to being as if someone's going to attack us, unfortunately. And you kind of, you walk down Tel Aviv, and if you just want to go to any old restaurant or coffee shop, there's a pretty good chance you're going to pass a memorial for some suicide bombing or bus bombing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it I don't want to say you get used to it, but it's part of living here. You are more. I don't know if resilient is the right word, but you, you kind of
Well,
just
it's
get
more
out.
normalized. It's just normalized, whereas we're not used to that here. And so you're conditioned to it and you're conditioned to live with it. But is there a feeling that maybe after what's happened today, if Iran is so if they're so damaged that maybe there'll be a lot less of all of this, like maybe all of the proxies will be so weak now and have no real leadership that Israel's going to start to be a safer place for you guys?
I mean, that's the hope. That's the dream. If we can knock out the snake's head, uh, and damage all the proxies, that would be great. But as a short-term solution, but the long-term solution
Mm.
is nowhere near in sight, and that is a deep programming of of literally Islamism and jihadism, a
Yeah.
deprogramming of hate, a deprogramming of intolerance against the other. These are things that are in the ideology of these regions, and the amount of hatred that you see in the West now, that you see it popping out, it's popping out in the open everywhere, and you see these young people talking. They are they're accusing everyone else of being Nazis, but they're the ones that most resemble Nazis, and they don't see it. So yes to the short-term solution, but unless the world gets actively involved to start changing the dialogue and make it not about arms but about ideologies, uh, you know, that's what needs to happen, and that's a process of a decade at least, to see.
That's a few generations. And then it's like, who does it and how do you do it? And I mean, I think I've told you before about Impact SE in Israel, which is run out of Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Marcus Chef. I think I've talked to you about him and like what a brilliant job he's been doing of going round to governments and working with governments to sort of go through the entire school curriculums and try and change all the educational resources. But it's there's a few generations that need to be reprogrammed, and
Yeah, you know
you
what?
just sort of wonder, like, can it's to me it feels like social media, like that whole concept that there's 50 pro-Palestinian posts for every one pro-Israel post. It's like, can you cut off the hate as quickly as it's spreading, as new hate spreads? I don't know how you do
I
it.
think that I mean, you've heard me talk about this a lot. I haven't spoken about it for a while because of, the situation that we're in. But w- we didn't, not Israel only, the Jewish people, the Israel, our allies. If you don't invest in showing what you stand for and what your values are on an ongoing basis, um, and your enemy does do it, and they do it, like you said, 50 to 1 ratio, they're louder, then they own the narrative. And that comes before missiles start flying and soldiers start shooting and terrorists start attacking. It's like this is a war of narratives. This is a war of narratives, and I don't see the powers that be investing enough in that. And I think that the enemies have done that, and you see how well it's working. So, leaders of the free world, can you get your shit together and start, making this a priority?
I
I
think
really do.
most leaders of the free world would never even see this as their priority. Like, if you look at the leadership around the world now, we can see it. Like, apart from America, I don't think anyone else even thinks that it's their problem to take on. And then when I think about it, you and I talked about it a lot in the Jewish space, but like we don't even have the resources or the numbers, or it just seems like such an imbalanced, crazy, huge prospect to
It
overcome it.
it is, but I think all the more reason, and I know that you agree with me because you do it and I do it, and that's how we met. But um, all the more reason for our tiny community to be as vocal as humanly possible, because the solution lies. Oh, here, someone just wrote this: forget useless leaders, the people can raise their voices and be heard.
Yeah,
Lions of Zion. I don't
yeah,
know who you are, but that's exactly what I was about to say.
yeah.
That it's the people who can force the change, and 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 keep it going and keep the pressure on, because it's something that I want people to understand. Where our leadership failed is right here. It's with our voice that can make a difference in the long run. Um,
They can make a difference in the long run, and it is definitely the people that need to be loud and proud. And that's why I'm always surprised when I end up having the discussion about the silent majority. All these people who would agree with you and with me, but are just silent. They're just not speaking up, and they need to find a voice, because if you've got like these crazy people who have been brainwashed and believe all these mistruths, and they're voting in governments like the government we have in Australia, which believes them and sees the world in the same way that they see it. We need the people who understand what's really going on here to speak up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I think that there are many people out there who, in the past 2 years, established leaders, voices of moral clarity, have become louder, and a new wave of leaders, of advocates, and I'm hoping that a lot of these new people continue to rise to the occasion and lead by example, by by expressing, by speaking, by consistently being vocal about this war of values, and that we build a bigger audience. It's all about just one person at a time. It's not the sexiest thing in the world to talk about kind of like facts. Like, facts are not very interesting, to a lot of people. People respond today viscerally. They respond to emotion, which is why our enemies are able to do what they do. So it's very difficult work to talk and to
But I
explain.
also think, also because people don't have any trust in facts anymore. They don't know what to believe anymore. People don't know
Yep.
anymore what's true and what's not true. So they're hearing things that you and I can be speaking with utter conviction, and we're speaking fact and truth. We believe our truth, but they may not believe it. I've had lots of debates with people, and I cannot make them see my point of view. They will not believe, even though I'm giving them dates, facts, dates, times, history. They don't want to know. How do we make people understand fact from fiction?
Well, I've just written an essay. Like, in the middle of the night, I wrote an essay, and actually, I was on a what's it called, on a live with Elika Labon and Ellen Gold earlier, and I talked about it. It's called The Uphill Struggle, and it's about that. It's because I was speaking to a friend yesterday, one of my closest friends, who is a mensch, a kind, good, open-minded person, can talk about anything, and it's the same problem. Um, the mindset is there are two truths. There are many truths,
Mm.
and in many cases there are, but you know what I mean. Like, but there is one truth, which is like, okay, the sun rose today, and that's the truth. There are indisputable truths, and it's very hard to convince someone that you're telling the truth about the one truth. Um, I was trying to explain that, and this is the craziest thing. I was trying to explain about about the Palestinians, and I was trying to explain that Palestine was never a nation. It was a region. It was an area. And every fact I gave him, he asked me 100 questions because of the narrative that has been subconsciously fed to him over the course of decades by these lies. And it's an uphill struggle. It's an uphill struggle with the haters. It's an uphill struggle with the silent majority. It's an uphill struggle even with absolutely wonderful people who are open and
Mm.
want. Even with them, it's an uphill struggle. Even with your best friend, one of your best friends, it's an uphill struggle.
Yeah.
The But the stakes are so high. That's why everyone has to speak in our own circles. We have to go there and not be afraid to say, look, I want to, people don't, because they're too afraid to bring it up.
They're afraid to bring it up. I think a lot of people are afraid because they don't know what's true and what's not true, or they don't know the history, so they don't feel that they're qualified to talk about it. But I say it doesn't matter what you know and what you don't know. Just talk about what you think, what you feel, and just talk about right from wrong. If you narrow it down to right from wrong or good versus evil, if that's on that level, just say something, because at the end of the day, if you're looking at if you're looking at a liberal democracy versus a terror regime, it's you can talk to that. It's not hard to talk about that. If you're looking at one group of people who value life and peace, and you're looking at another group of people who value death and destruction,
But they don't see that. But Marnie,
They
that's the
do
thing.
not. They
They
don't.
don't see that. They don't see that they value death and destruction. Like today, just, I wrote a post and I was just like, I said something and I also expressed thanks to President Trump. Now, I'm not afraid to express thanks to President Trump because it doesn't mean me saying that is not saying that I endorse, or Netanyahu. You can salute.
Yeah, of course.
You can, but people are afraid to just say things today. And I'm a pretty outspoken person. So I can imagine that just like, going to the office or hanging out with friends and it's a mixed crowd of just people from all different faiths, the discomfort of what, you can be canceled socially. But
Yeah.
I still think it's important to speak up and to take that risk right now.
Oh, I think it's essential. Like
Yeah.
without it, we're just, and I think
Just do it.
that's actually as Jewish people, and obviously this is not just a conversation for Jewish people, but as Jewish people, the one thing that gives me hope now versus the 1930s is that we actually have much more ability to speak up. We've got social media, we've got technology. We're really able to use our voices in a way that Jewish people in the 30s could not. And I think we have to take advantage of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and not stopping. I mean, I actually think that things are, I mean, I hope they don't get complicated now with this situation, but imagining that things get a little bit more wonky, and things get more complicated, let's just say that this drags on. You've got to voice your opinion now, because when you don't, the people who are saying all the untrue things and the immoral things are going to be louder, and they're going to sway people's opinion because they're louder. So be the rebel,
Yeah,
be
be
the
the
rebel,
rebel.
be the rebel, like speak up, say, you can have your political opinions, but this is right and this is wrong, and that's the bottom line. Talk about the bottom line. Everyone gets wrapped up in all the drama and the he said and the she said. But I always like to go straight to the bottom line. What's the black and white of this? And it's like you said, one is death and destruction, and the other ones are not. And you can see it in the evidence. You can see it de facto on the ground with our culture and our humanity. Say those things, people.
So,
Talk about it.
Aitam, what would you say to someone who's in the diaspora, right? You're in Israel. So imagine if you're Israeli, you're going to an office in Israel, and the majority of people you're working with are Jewish and they understand the conflict and they understand the situation. You're in Australia, for example, you go to your office. Basically, you could be the only Jew in an office of hundreds of people, because we only make up half of 1% of the population. So to speak up in that environment is a lot more loaded than speaking up in an Israeli environment. So what do you say to people who basically are alone in that setting, and it can be actually dangerous for them to speak up?
Uh,
Doesn't mean
I'll
they
tell
shouldn't.
you know what.
I'm not telling them not to, but what's your advice to them?
Sure. You know what? I'm not going to give advice. I'm going to share an experience with you that I went through. In the early 2000s, I was as you know, I was a copywriter, a creative in advertising, and I was a writer on the Volkswagen account. Then I moved to New York City, and in New York City, I was in BBDO and Ogilvy and Mather. At Ogilvy and Mather, while I was there, it was at the time of the Gulf War. Now I'm in a creative department. Writers, designers, illustrators, graphic artists, a storyboard artist, all sorts of, and very, very, very liberal, left-leaning, progressive, typical environment. All wonderful people, and we would all have lunch together. And I was in a situation which was, to me, hostile because I was Israeli, and this is when we had a better reputation because we had just gone through these suicide bombings. But this was, Iraq War. Should we have invaded? Why did we invade? All the conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories started popping up about 9/11 too in Israelis. I was openly Israeli, openly Jewish, and showed that I had an opinion. I'm not saying to proactively start conversations.
Mm,
I'm saying that if something comes up, to not keep it to yourself,
yeah.
because what I felt was so important when I was abroad didn't come from me being an Israeli. It came from me being an Eitan, being who I am. if I have an opinion and I have a point of view and it's my truth, it's my honest opinion, it's something that I want to express, then in what world am I not allowed to, or will I stop myself from? The only world that I would do it in is if it is in a life-threatening situation that I will not be who I am. Literally life-threatening, not like, like life-threatening. And so that's why I was talking. I was like, I'm going to be who I am. And that's what I did. And the thing that I would share is, if you have an opinion about something and it's not something that should offend anyone, and it's what you feel, and it's important to you because it's, let's say in this case, it's your identity, then I would encourage you to embrace your true self and to be your true self no matter who is in that room, because when people see that, they might not agree with it, but you'll have their respect. and
Yeah,
uh,
that's
and
so true.
and I
I
think
went and
that's
heard
important.
I heard Anat Wilf speaking last
Hmm.
week, and she said something so similar. And she was talking about the Jews of the moment who have basically sold us out,
Oh, really?
because she framed it so brilliantly. She said, there are a lot of Jews today that they signed up for bagels, not baby killers. So they signed up just to eat a bagel and be a bit of a nebulous beige kind of Jew. They didn't sign up to be called a baby killer. But she said those people who are not able to stand with us because they're too scared to, um, they may they will never be respected. They may be accepted on some level, but they will never be respected because they are not standing up for who they are and what they really believe in. And I agree. I mean, I've always been that Jew also who tells people who I am, what I stand for, what I believe in. Was not the person who was hanging around on Friday night after work for drinks because I'm like, sorry, I'm going to Shabbat dinner with my family. And I think we all have to be doing that right now.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, I mean, I've always been outwardly proud of my identity. I mean, in terms of professional advocacy, I'm not even a professional, but I've been a public advocate for around 15 years on social media. And what I find is, with this, there have been a lot of Jews that were comfortable not showing it, and maybe in some cases made a conscious decision not to. I'm not even talking about the people that don't identify as Jewish, but now we're showing, I think, that we're strong, and
Yeah,
that we're
Lions of Zion is just saying here that the soldiers are not giving up. Why should we? And that's exactly how I view it. And I say
yeah,
this a lot, is that to me, we, the advocates, or particularly the diaspora Jews, all have a duty to fight the information war and to be fighting non-stop,
nonstop.
by spreading truths, talking about who we are, what we stand for, spreading the facts, talking. I agree. Like, that's really our job in the diaspora, is to fight the information war and to stand strong as the information army.
Yeah, and and we can do this. Meaning, we're not, maybe 2 years ago we were the comfortable Jews, in the world. The golden era of the past, I don't know, 30 years. It's over.
Yeah.
And so there's an upside to that, though. The upside and the silver lining is, remember who you are now. Do you remember who you are? If you don't, maybe it's time to learn, because better that we know who we are and we define who we are for the public to see than we don't know who we are and we let the enemies of our people, that will inevitably, this will come back and bite you in the ass. We don't let them have their narrative. We don't let them have their narrative about us. And that's strength. When you protect your identity, I'm not talking about physically, because we're talking about the diaspora. Protect your identity. Go to war for your identity. Step into the room for your identity. Open your mouth in the public, in the town square, when it comes to your identity, because your identity is all that you've got, and your people are all that you've got at the end of the day. And you see it. This is real. It's not like me being dramatic. It's real. And every single person has a role, like you said. Every single person has a role right now. This
And
is a war
it's
of the people.
it's a war of the people, and everybody else gets to be loud and proud about their identity. It's actually only ever Jewish people who feel that they have to be very polite and quiet and, you know, not make too much noise or not draw too much attention to their identity. Everyone else gets to be proudly who they are. I mean, Australia is such a melting pot, as obviously Israel is, and everyone else can be loud and proud about what they stand for. We really have to do that. I mean,
And it's a
and
beautiful,
we have to be louder
and
and
it's a beautiful
prouder than
thing.
everyone.
It's
There's
a
so few of us.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing. It's not something to be, oh my God, I'm gonna have to work. No, it's a beautiful thing. I'm that Jew. I'm Jewish. It's beautiful.
It is.
It's beautiful. Say it. You know, I think and I've seen it happen, especially with, with I'm that Jew. I've seen people who are worried about wearing it or expressing their identity, or people who write to me and talk about how some of the work that we're doing is helping people express their identity. But they all say the same thing. It felt so good. I don't know why I haven't for so long, because you don't need anyone else's acceptance. You just need to accept that you are the master of your domain. Do you know what I mean? So everyone needs to. Um, it's crazy times we're going through. Absolutely crazy.
Crazy,
Are
crazy
there any
times. It's
questions, by
amazing.
the way?
Are there questions, anyone?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been looking.
Oh,
Sorry,
I
because
don't
I've
know.
just
I
been.
bet there's been lots of comments. I don't know if there's
Ah,
questions.
okay. Well, if anyone wants to ask a question, go ahead. Also, how's it going in Australia?
Australia, same shit.
Yeah.
You know what? Australia is just more of the same. We have a foreign minister who does not support America's involvement or doesn't support active bombing of Iran's nuclear capabilities or the facilities. Still is calling for diplomacy and conversation, which is just insane. Still thinks you can negotiate with terrorists.
Oh, man.
And that's very sad. And Australia feels to me like, I mean, I'm very negative. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm very negative about Australia. I just feel like Australia is with this current government, which will be in, I think, for a couple of terms, we're in real trouble. Real trouble. I don't think they can do anything to proactively reverse the tide of anti-Semitism. I think they make it worse. I think their position makes it worse for everyone here. And I don't feel good living as a Jew in Australia right now.
Is there anything? I mean, is there anything that the Australian Jewish community and our allies in the fight for, I guess, morality in Australia? Is there any, like, what are
Yeah, I
people able
think
to do?
Well, I actually, firstly, exactly what you were just saying, that every Jewish person needs to speak up. They need to talk about their lived experience as a Jew in this country, whether that means writing an email to a government representative, whether that means complaining publicly, speaking to the media, or just speaking to their non-Jewish colleagues and friends. We all need to be doing that. That's the first thing. Then every week I get a lot of messages from people who are facing clear discrimination. They're either losing clients, customers, losing venues if they're entertainers. Like, there's a lot of very overt anti-Semitism happening, and I think people need to be fighting back against that legally. I think we cannot afford to sit back and just cop it. We need to fight, and we need to really push back against it. We really need to push back against it. And if there's ever any disparity, we need to call it out. Like last week, Hillel Full didn't get a visa to get into
Was
this country,
that only last
and
week? It feels like
or
it's
maybe
like
it
a
was 2
year ago.
weeks ago.
Oh,
It was probably a year ago.
it feels like,
Whenever it was,
yeah,
and then obviously he appealed, and the decision was still rejected. But that same, 2 days afterwards, there was a guy who got in to this country from United Arab Emirates, who is, he calls
yeah.
himself a narrator or whatever, a poet, whatever he is, who's doing a national tour of Islamic schools, mosques, community centres, has footage of Nasrallah's funeral on his Instagram feed, and he's the guy who gets the visa, not Hillel, who was here going to be talking about technology and Magen David Adom. So I think those kind of things we have to be calling out and not letting those things slide. We have to fight back against everything, and I think we are doing that. But it's there's a lot to
Well,
fight back against.
well, as you know, I'm coming to Australia I mean, if everything goes according to plan, in a month.
Yeah,
And the good news is my visa was authorized. It was approved.
yay! That's
Yeah,
great news. That
it
is
is.
really great.
It is. Guess someone wrote here. No one will be allowed. I think Angie B. No one will be allowed a visa to come and speak now. But hopefully,
Aitan's coming.
yeah, that's it seems to be happening. Yeah.
That's
So if we
fantastic.
can, if I mean, who the hell knows what's going to happen with the situation here in Israel?
He
But
is coming to Melbourne, Angie.
yeah, I'm going to be coming to Melbourne. I'm going to be
Yes.
in Sydney, and I'm trying to be in Perth as well. But I don't have the schedule. I think just follow the organizations in Australia. I don't even know how it works in Australia with the Jewish community and where people get news from. But
It's different
um,
in both. It's different in different cities.
mhm.
Or just follow us.
Yeah, follow us.
I'll keep you posted where Aitan is. Follow me, and I'll give you updates. And follow Aitan. But I mean, closer to the time, I guess, when you're allowed to talk about who you're going to be speaking with and where and what and how,
Well,
we'll just.
I'm hopefully going to be speaking with you, right, as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're
No,
always
people should
speaking
know.
with me.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Oh,
I can't wait.
I cannot
I
wait. I cannot
just,
wait.
I just want to come and
Oh,
give everyone a hug.
I'm Joe Paul. Come to Australia as well.
Who's this?
I'm Joe Paul.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Joe, is he on? Oh, hey, Joe. I didn't know that he was
Come to
on.
Australia as well.
Yeah, Joe, you got to come to Australia. Someone get him a ticket.
Come
Um,
on, come and hang out with us.
God, I mean, it feels so weird right now, Marnie, because we're living. Like I came out of the bomb shelter an hour and 45 minutes ago or something, and now I'm talking to you, and we're trying to figure out, do we go back to Tel Aviv because we're 20 minutes in out? Do we go back today or not? So to think about potentially going away in a month feels so crazy. It doesn't feel like reality right now. It feels like, okay, that's in 10 years time.
I want to ask you about that because I was speaking to my friend who's from
Mm.
Melbourne, who's in Tel Aviv at the moment. She's there on her own, and she's sort of got into this daily routine, no sleep, but this daily routine in between bomb shelter visits. And when she finally is able to get out of there, like, I think it's going to be quite intense. I actually think that there could be like a
Oh yeah.
post-traumatic reaction to leaving a war zone. And like for you to leave, it's your homeland. You're not there on holidays, it's your home. I think it could feel very, very strange for you to be out of there
Yeah,
and in Australia.
yeah,
And like
yeah,
I don't
I
think it's an easy thing for Israelis just to get up and leave, even though you're going to talk about Israel, you're coming here to do great work, but it's a very weird feeling. And I know even the couple of times I've been there since October 7, the minute I've landed in Australia and put my foot back on Australian soil, I've just wanted to be back in Israel.
you know, first of all, I think everyone here is, not just because of what's happening in the last 10 days, obviously, and we know that, but with the past almost 2 years, we are all going through different types of traumas, from the most extreme to whatever kind of trauma you might have when you sit in a bomb shelter, which is all over the country. So we're all going through it, and I think when things really calm down, we're all going to have to process it somehow. It's like it's yeah, we're a country at war, but the idea of in a month potentially going abroad is 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 a very odd feeling, and I have thought about exactly what you just said, which is you're leaving a country where you've been hit with ballistic missiles over and over again for quite a while now, and all of a sudden you're landing in a country where there's, just go and have your coffee, and you go
Yeah,
and I actually, just thinking about it, it makes me feel a little nervous. Not nervous. It's unsettling, and the funny thing is, I'm coming, and I want to strengthen. That's what I want to do, and I feel I'm going to need a little bit of strengthening as well.
I think you are.
Yeah, I
And,
mean,
and a bit of a break, like just a bit of a break, like the broken sleep, the running into the shelters, the actual palpable physical fear that you feel there is, I can't imagine it.
uh yeah, I can't lie. It's very difficult to describe. I think the appreciation, uh I think being somewhere else, I think already now I'm feeling so appreciative of that, of the reality that we don't have here. And you know what it also makes me think, and maybe people will get mad at me for saying this, and they shouldn't, but like, it makes me think about our neighbors, our neighbors in Gaza, our neighbors in the West Bank, where there's a lot of tension. And what a damn shame. What a stupid thing. And all for nothing. Uh, if only we could accept the other, and I'm not talking about us. I mean mainly to their demographic, because it doesn't matter what you say. The Jewish people are an accepting people, in terms of, you know I wish they had that culture. I wish our neighbors had that in them, to accept, just accept. You know,
Mm.
um, I really appreciate, and that's what I'm thinking of, the kind of like the notion of just being in another country where things are calm. And I wish we had that. I really do. For our neighbors, I wish. Maybe we can get there one day. Maybe.
Imagine, imagine that. It feels like it's never been closer than it has been now. I mean, if ever there was a time where we could try and imagine it, I feel like, you know, there's there's been some dramatic shifts, and it seems like it could be possible. Whereas at one point, I just thought this could never happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this whole sentence, which I think is a fantastic sentence, especially for the Middle East, peace through strength, which people are seeing a lot of now, of
Mm.
course, but maybe not peace through strength in Western countries, and it might be politically incorrect to say that and everything. But not every ideology is a good ideology. Not every leadership has honorable intentions. And even if they're just like, not even an 8 out of 10, but even if they're a 5 out of 10, like most Western leadership, at least they're not a 1 out of 10. I feel that with the world right now, and where we're headed. Um, I don't know. I'm thinking about morality and the loss of morality. I'm a
Mm.
little bit all over the place, as you can see, but it's the the lack of morality, I think, is the thing that scares me the most.
That scares me as well. It scares me a lot.
So through
Um,
strength. So I think if it's not going to bend in our direction, with goodwill, when these people do awful things, then you have to show strength. You have to show strength. That's what happened in the Second World War. You decimated Germany, you showed strength, and then you rebuilt Germany, not just physically, but also with education. You
yeah,
righted the wrong, but you did it through strength. And there is a time where you need peace through strength. And that takes morality. So does that make any
it makes
sense?
total sense. It makes total sense.
I ran
And
on and
Germany is
on.
a great example because it shows that you can actually rewire people to believe a different ideology and to move away from an evil ideology and accept a very, very different mindset, which we have to hold on to that because there's a lot of work to do out there in the world and it's going to take some time.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Yeah,
How are you hanging in there? Can't be easy
I'm good.
to watch it.
You know what? I am, so obviously, I think for diaspora Jews or for anyone watching it from a distance, obviously, I mean, we worry about our friends and family on the ground. We worry about them physically. But I have to say the last week or so, I've felt kind of uplifted. It's like, this is what needed to happen. It's needed to happen for a very long time. And it feels so good to finally feel that we have a Western world leader who gets it and who's with us. And I'm just sad that we don't have that kind of leadership in my country because once upon a time, we were such strong allies of Israel and America. So it's very sad being in a country realizing that Australia has kind of made itself irrelevant on a world stage. But I'm just so grateful and, you know, love him or hate him, I am so grateful to Donald Trump. And I have to say today, there was a moment that was one of the best moments I've ever had in my life watching this from the other side of the world was when he addressed international media. And at one point in his very short address, which I thought was word perfect, he said, "God bless Israel." And he basically put Israel's survival and relevance and right to exist on an international platform. And that was like the proudest moment. I was like, thank God there's a Western leader saying, "God bless Israel."
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. You know, I'm immensely grateful uh, to President Trump. I'm immensely grateful to all those people who see the situation for what it is. I want to say something else, by the way. You know, when the Biden administration was around, I also thanked Biden because Biden was there for us. The President Biden did amazing work for the Jewish people until he didn't. So it's not always black and white. The reason I'm saying that is because Trump is amazing with what he's doing and what he's done from day one. And tomorrow he might have a change of heart or he might have a policy that people don't like. But what he did with this authorization of the attack on the the nuclear facilities is he sent a message, not just of support of Israel, but he's sending a message of solidarity and values to remind the world that when you preach hatred and you build the means to enact mass murder of a scale that can only be imagined, then we won't just reprimand you with words, we'll take action. And he will be remembered in history as someone who took action against an evil which is there for all to see, there for all to hear, and almost there for all to experience with what they were building.
Well,
So
as if
even
his
if you don't like, all
own,
I'm saying is even if you don't like Trump, give
yeah.
him the credit. Just like if you didn't like Biden, give them the credit when they do the right thing. That's what I wanted to say.
No, I agree with that. With Biden, I will say, and someone just said it here just a minute ago, and I agree that Biden did make a massive mistake in funding, basically giving Iran the
Oh, of
funds to do what they
course,
had
of
done.
course, of
And
course.
so, definitely not a perfect situation. But when a leader does do something that deserves thanks and is worthy of thanks, I agree we have to thank them. And I feel like if every other Western leader, on a much, much smaller scale, had made consequences to people's bad actions, we wouldn't be in this situation with global anti-Semitism. Like if in Australia, for example, if on October the 9th, when 1,000 pro-Palestinians stormed the Opera House and burnt Israeli flags and yelled out "F the Jews," if there had been consequences, and this is on a tiny scale, but if there had been consequences right back then, we wouldn't be in the mess that we're in now. If every Western leader had consequences to people's bad actions all the way along, the world wouldn't be in this shitstorm right
Yeah, but
now.
you know
And it's because
what?
we've had weak
Yeah,
leadership for
but you know, but
so many
yeah,
decades.
but you're 100% right. But this is when I think, it doesn't matter if there's 100 people on the call or whatever, but this is where the people come in. We have a role to play. Even if you don't support Trump, even if you don't like Trump, you abhor Trump, but you agree with what he did here, now is the time to say so that it stops being about left and right and Republican and Democrat, and it starts getting back to being about right and
Mm.
wrong. You cannot support a president and even hate his guts, but publicly commend them. Why? Because if you do it, then someone else who is of the same mindset is likely to do it, and so on and so on and so on. And I think that that's the society that I miss. I feel that people are so siloed in their own camps that they're afraid to even say when something that has been done that they agree with that is beneficial to humanity. They're afraid to saying that. Even people on this call right now, maybe. I have no idea, but yeah, credit where credit is due. And speak up about it. Let the world say it. There's so many people that have written to me, by the way, who are not Jewish, this morning, from around the world, from Spain, from South Africa, Australia as well, a couple of other countries. And I said, what is the mindset? What are people saying? And they say, well, nobody's really saying anything, but I think that they're really happy. That's what all of them have said. That's
Yeah,
what
that's
all of them have
interesting.
said. So imagine if they were really happy and that they said that they were happy.
Yeah. Imagine if we said what we thought.
Yeah, as opposed to just saying what's popular to say
Yeah.
because of your own allegiance to your own, that's the world that we're living in, and that's the world that sucks. That's what leads to all of this.
Yeah. That's why you and I spend our whole day trying to tell people to speak up. Speak up, people.
Um, we don't get enough credit I mean, I'm saying in my world as a brand builder and as someone who speaks. But the profession of brand building is built around communications. It's built around the word, and we don't get enough credit. And not I don't mean credit like a pat on the back. I'm not saying we need a pat on the back. I mean professional credit to invest in something that can literally change perception, which can avoid a lot of stuff that we've gone through. And the reason why I keep bringing it up again and again and again, Marnie, and you know this, is because when all of this dies down, are we all going to just go back to normal? Or are we going to speak to the leadership that has money, that has funds, that can organize a consistent narrative for Israel and the Jewish people, and to take it seriously as our enemies did?
Our enemies were genius
Oh yeah.
with their marketing, genius. And I can't, and you and I have had this conversation many times. I can't understand why we haven't been able to have a concerted, combined, unified effort to do this. And I just can't figure it out. But we cannot go back to how we were. We will not, and we cannot go back to how we were. We need to be working together communally. We need to be spending our funding differently. We need to make lots of changes. We could be here all night talking about that, but we've got to do things pretty differently.
Well,
If we
you
want
know
to
what I'm trying to do.
want to be effective, yeah, yeah.
Well,
Love what you're trying to.
we'll get there. We'll get there somehow.
Yeah.
But listen, I'm going to go and check on the family.
Okay. Send my love
I
to everyone.
I will do, and thank
Be
you,
safe. Be
thank you,
safe.
and thank you very much, and thank you to everyone. I'm sorry that maybe it was hard to read and everything, but I just want to say thanks to everyone who's been writing and checking in and sending their best. It makes a difference. It's hugely appreciated, and I just want to say thank you. So thank you.
We are all with you, even though we are far physically close from here, and just really just wanting you all to be safe and okay, and also wanting to thank you on behalf of not just Jews everywhere, but decent Westerners everywhere who understand that Israel right now is doing the dirty work for the rest of the world. And we want to thank you for that because we know you are doing it tough. So thank you.
Thanks, Marnie. Well, God bless the IDF and our Air
Yeah.
Force and intelligence and also our leadership. I mean, when I say leadership, all of the emergency response, there's so many people here on the ground that are doing so many incredible things. So just like you thank Israel, I also thank the people here.
Yeah.
Love you, Marnie. Big
Love
hugs.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.